Welcome back. I'm here today with Jenny Oakes Baker. She's an accomplished concert violinist, and we're out here in Tiburon, California. Jenny, you came to the point in your life, you started playing the violin when you're 4 years old, but you came to the point in your life where you had a goal of becoming a concert violinist. So how did you work towards that goal?
My whole life I've practiced as much as I possibly could in order to reach my potential. And I always felt a responsibility to develop my talents, and I worked as hard as I could and tried to get all the training I could in order to be ready for whatever the Lord kind of presented to me and whatever path He wanted me to take. And so it continues to be just step by step. I mean, I don't know the end. I don't know where my career is going to go. I mean, I have hopes and I have dreams, but the Lord has just opened up so many different paths for me to take that I never even thought of, and I just try to be prepared for whatever they are and live a good life so that I could be worthy of the blessings that He's given me.
You know, as with all of us in life, we always have trials as we're trying to work towards overcoming our path. What are some of the trials that have come in your way that have kind of given you that challenge of trying to overcome to make that goal of success?
I was never popular when I was growing up. Boys never asked me out on dates. I never went to prom. And so when I was younger, that was a huge trial. Looking back, that doesn't seem like a big deal, but at the time, that was a big trial. I then left home when I was 18 to go to school in Philadelphia, and I lived alone in Philadelphia. I'd grown up in Utah, and that was a pretty big change to just live in downtown Philly by myself for 4 years. And that was a huge trial for me because I was very close to my parents, and we didn't have the money to fly me back and forth very often, and so that was a huge trial. Then when I was 22, my mom died of cancer, and she was my very best friend. So that's the hardest thing I've ever gone through, for sure. That's my biggest trial. But through it all, I've felt the love of the Lord, and I've seen His tender mercies in my life, and I'm grateful for the growth I've had through each of these trials. And I just try to always have that perspective to know that the Lord loves each of us, even though we all go through difficult things.
How did your time at Julliard and the Curtis Institute of Music shape you as an artist?
Curtis is kind of known as the world's best music school, and so to be surrounded by just such amazing musicians and teachers was truly just such a blessing in my life. Julliard was amazing as well. I feel like everything got kind of put into my musical soul in Curtis, and in Julliard it just kind of simmered together, so that when I graduated from Julliard after those 6 years, 4 at Curtis and 2 at Julliard, of intense musical growth, I was able to just kind of fly. So I'm just really grateful for the training I've had.
What do you look for to gauge your performance, if it was good or bad?
I always pray before I perform that I'll do my best and feel good about my performance and be able to touch people's hearts. So my favorite, I love applause, I love standing ovations, but as much as those things, I love to hear tears and sniffles in the audience. And I love that after you finish a song, I love that kind of, that intake of breath that I sometimes hear from my audience at the end, where I know that they've had a real emotional reaction. So that's always, I love to feel like the audience and I have shared something emotional together.
Out of all the performances that you've done, what's the most memorable?
Those times when I've performed sacred music and I've felt overcome by the Spirit. So there have been times when I've had to kind of pull back the tears, and it hasn't come from a place of a performance place, but an emotional place. So those performances when I know that something emotionally great has transpired and I've been a part of it.
I'm visiting here today with Jenny Oakes Baker. She's an accomplished professional musician. We're out here in Tiburon, California, and we need to take a quick break, and we'll be right back after these messages.
I love fishing, with my family.
I think it would be easier to use a net.
It was so much fun.
The times when we are together, it makes it all the more worth it.
Having Dad teach them how to like cast a fly rod. And
As long as we're doing stuff together, we're having fun.
Some people see a father and a son fishing together, while others see a succession plan. Welcome back. I'm here today with Jenny Oakes Baker. She's an accomplished professional musician. We're out in Tiburon, California. And Jenny, we have been visiting about what have brought you to this place of your career right now. I want to focus now on the album that you did where you're nominated for a Grammy, When You Wish Upon a Star. What inspired you to write that album?
Well, I have 4 children, and so I've been living and breathing Disney. By the time I made the album, I'd been, listening to Disney music with them for 10 years. And I love Disney because it's about hopes and dreams and wishes and love and just joy. And so it was I love the whole feel of Disney. I love some of the tunes of Disney. The classic Disney tunes are really great musical works. And so I was just excited to be able to record an album of these great Disney classics.
What inspires you when you perform music?
I love experiencing transforming feelings of emotion. And I think music can really take you to a whole new place, and you can feel that together with others. And so when I perform, I try to feel things 500% so that my audience can feel them completely. And I love when music takes you on a journey, and then you end up in a different place, a different person. You've gone through something. And so I just love the emotion of music, and I love that it can make you feel the love of the Lord and joy and just passions that are just so uplifting. So I try to play really uplifting music.
You balance your career of being an accomplished violinist with also being a mother of 4 children.
I
Not
try
easy.
to do that. It is very tricky. I've been very blessed that I married a wonderful man who supports me completely, and is always thrilled for me to be able to share my musical gifts, and supports by, watching our children when I have to leave for a day or two to perform, and being just always so happy when I find success.
Now, there are times where you also perform with your children.
Uh-huh.
And what are some of the things that you've done together?
Oh, well, anytime I perform a concert that's local enough to drive to, then I'll take them. And they are able to perform kind of the backup to some of my recorded songs. And so I've actually had Kurt Bester, who's done so many of my arrangements, write them specific arrangements just for them to perform. And it's really a joy to perform together and then to see them performing together. But it's so much work. It's so much work. They each practice hours a day, and then to get them to all rehearse together and be loving by the end of it is kind of a challenge, but it sure looks good on stage after all the rehearsing's over.
What are the instruments that your children play with you?
My oldest plays the percussion and the violin. She's 12, Laura. Hannah plays the piano. Sarah is 9 and plays the cello. Matthew is 7 and plays classical guitar. So it's kind of, I originally thought I would end up with like a string quartet, but it's kind of become a rock band.
A rock band?
Well, it's not
Wow.
really even those instruments. We've got kind of the percussion with the drums, and we've got the guitar and kind of the keyboard and the strings. So it's pretty versatile. They can do classical and also pop. It's fun.
Do you see them following a path of also becoming professional musicians, or?
I don't know. We're just enjoying the road the way it is. I want them to find their passions, and I think most of them will probably end up being professional musicians, but I just want them to, find their passion and find their path and have a beautiful life in whatever the Lord has in store for them.
What are some of the albums that you've done? Your favorite? Have you've done albums with the kids, or is it mainly YouTube?
Not yet. They're not quite ready to record. We need the visual at this point still.
Okay.
But I've done a classic rock album called Classic, the Rock Album. I've done 2 Christmas albums. One's called Noel, the other is called Oh Holy Night. I've done a movie album called Silver Screen Serenade. I've done a Disney album called Wish Upon a Star, a classical kind of sacred album called Then Sings My Soul. And then there's a number of other albums that are kind of have been collected into the Best of Jenny Oaks Baker that's still available. So there's 12 altogether. They're all on iTunes, and you can get them at Amazon.com and wherever LDS books are sold.
So Jenny, when everything is said and done, you're looking at your life, what do you feel your greatest accomplishment will be?
The most important thing to me is to be a good mother and a good wife and to have a strong family. So I hope that when it's all said and done, I hope that I have a good family and I've left a good legacy that way. I hope people know that I know that God lives, and hopefully I live my life to be worthy of that knowledge. And I hope my music's been able to touch people and help their lives to be better, and to bring them closer to the knowledge that God loves them.
I'm visiting here today with Jenny Oaks Baker. We're in Tiburon, California. Jenny, thanks for being on today's show.
Thank you. Great to be here.